In the heart of Egypt's scorching desert, a sealed tomb lay hidden beneath the sands for more than 3,000 years. When it was finally opened in 1922, a terrifying legend was born, a legend that would spread across the world. A curse said to strike anyone who dared disturb the resting place of an ancient king. His name was Tutankhamun, and his tomb would become the most famous archaeological discovery in history. For centuries, the Valley of the Kings concealed its secrets. Beneath the rocky cliffs rested generations of Egyptian pharaohs. Many tombs had already been discovered. Others had been robbed long ago. But one tomb remained hidden, untouched, forgotten, waiting silently beneath the desert floor. Long before the curse, there was a king. Tutankhamun became pharaoh at around 9 years old, a child suddenly placed upon one of the most powerful thrones in the ancient world. His reign was short, his achievements modest, yet thousands of years later, his name would become immortal. Ancient Egypt was one of the greatest civilizations ever known. Its temples towered above the Nile. Its priests guarded sacred knowledge. Its rulers were believed to stand between humanity and the gods. And among them sat a young king whose destiny remained uncertain. Tutankhamun inherited a kingdom in turmoil. Religious upheaval had divided Egypt. Ancient traditions had been challenged. The stability of the empire had begun to weaken. The young pharaoh faced the difficult task of restoring order to a nation struggling to find its balance. During his reign, efforts were made to restore Egypt's traditional beliefs. Temples were reopened. Ancient gods returned to prominence. The kingdom slowly began to heal. Yet fate had little time planned for the young ruler. Then, without warning, Tutankhamun died. He was only around 19 years old. The cause of his death remains a mystery even today. Illness, injury, assassination. Historians continue to debate what truly happened. To the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end. It was a journey, a passage into the afterlife. To prepare their king for eternity, priests performed elaborate rituals and filled his tomb with treasures beyond imagination. The tomb of Tutankhamun was packed with extraordinary riches: golden chariots, jewelry, weapons, statues, furniture, and countless objects intended to serve the king in the next world. A treasure unlike anything archaeologists had ever seen. After the burial was complete, the entrance was sealed. The sands of Egypt slowly covered the tomb. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell. The world forgot the young king. But beneath the desert, his secrets remained untouched, waiting for the moment they would be discovered once again. By the early 20th century, archaeologists believed the Valley of the Kings had revealed nearly all of its secrets. Dozens of royal tombs had already been uncovered. Many experts were convinced that nothing of significance remained hidden beneath the desert floor. But one man refused to accept that conclusion. His name was Howard Carter. For years, Carter became consumed by a single belief. Somewhere beneath the sands lay the tomb of a forgotten pharaoh, a tomb that no one had ever found. While others abandoned the search, Carter pressed on, convinced that history was hiding one final secret. Carter's search depended on the support of a wealthy British aristocrat. Lord Carnarvon had invested years of money and effort into the excavation. But time was running out. The discoveries were few. The expenses were mounting, and patience was beginning to fade. After years of disappointment, Lord Carnarvon considered ending the project. The search had consumed enormous resources with little to show for it. But Carter pleaded for one final season of excavation, one last chance to prove his theory. Reluctantly, Carnarvon agreed. Day after day, laborers removed layers of sand and rubble. The desert revealed fragments of ancient history, but the tomb Carter sought remained hidden. Each passing day brought new uncertainty. Then, on November 4th, 1922, everything changed. A worker uncovered a stone step beneath the sand. At first, it seemed insignificant, but as more sand was removed, additional steps appeared, leading downward. The staircase descended into the earth. Each newly uncovered step increased the anticipation. Could this be the entrance Carter had spent years searching for? Or was it merely another forgotten structure buried by time? At the bottom of the staircase stood a sealed doorway. Stamped into the plaster were markings that immediately caught Carter's attention. Ancient royal seals. Evidence that this entrance had once belonged to a pharaoh. The moment Carter had dreamed of was finally within reach. Although excitement filled the camp, Carter resisted the urge to break through. Instead, he sent a message to Lord Carnarvon. The discovery was too important to open alone. For days, the sealed doorway remained untouched. Finally, Lord Carnarvon arrived in Egypt. Together, the two men stood before the doorway. Beyond it could lie treasure. History. On November 26, 1922, the moment finally arrived. Howard Carter stood before the sealed doorway that had remained hidden for more than 3,000 years. Carefully, he began to make a small opening in the ancient barrier. Every movement carried the weight of history. Beyond the wall lay a mystery untouched by time. As Carter peered through the small opening, Lord Carnarvon waited anxiously behind him. Unable to contain his excitement, Carnarvon asked a simple question. "Can you see anything?" For a brief moment, Carter remained silent, staring into the darkness beyond. Then came the words that would become legendary. "Yes, I can see wonderful things." Before him lay a chamber overflowing with treasures, objects untouched for thousands of years. A breathtaking glimpse into a lost world. Everywhere Carter looked, gold reflected the glow of his lantern. Statues, chariots, furniture, jewelry. The chamber appeared frozen in time, as though the ancient world had been waiting patiently for someone to return. News of the discovery spread rapidly across the globe. Newspapers rushed to report the incredible find. People everywhere became fascinated by the young pharaoh whose tomb had survived the centuries. Tutankhamun was no longer forgotten. He had become a worldwide sensation. Yet the greatest discoveries still lay ahead. Beyond the first chamber were additional sealed rooms. Rooms that had remained hidden since the day of the burial. Each doorway promised new secrets, and perhaps new dangers. Months later, archaeologists reached the burial chamber itself. There, surrounded by sacred objects and protective symbols, stood an enormous golden shrine. Inside rested the remains of Egypt's young king. Within the shrine were multiple coffins nested inside one another. Each layer brought the archaeologists closer to the pharaoh. The craftsmanship was extraordinary, the wealth almost impossible to comprehend. The deeper they explored, the more astonishing the discovery became. Then came the most famous artifact of all, a golden funerary mask unlike anything the world had ever seen. Crafted with remarkable precision, it captured the face of Tutankhamun for eternity. Today, it remains one of the greatest treasures ever discovered. As the treasures were cataloged and the tomb explored, rumors began to spread. Some workers spoke of strange feelings. Others whispered about ancient warnings. At first, few paid attention. But soon, events would occur that caused many to wonder whether the tomb carried something far more sinister than treasure. A curse. Almost immediately, stories began to circulate. Some claimed that ancient warnings had been discovered near the tomb. Warnings intended to protect the pharaoh's final resting place from intruders. Whether these stories were true or exaggerated, they captured the public imagination, and they laid the foundation for a legend that would soon spread across the world. Newspapers eagerly embraced the mystery. Reports began appearing about curses, ancient prophecies, and supernatural warnings. The more sensational the story became, the more the public wanted to know. Soon, the discovery of the tomb was no longer just an archaeological event. It had become a global obsession. Then something happened that changed everything. Only a few months after entering the tomb, Lord Carnarvon became seriously ill. What began as a seemingly minor mosquito bite soon developed into a dangerous infection. As his condition worsened, rumors of the curse intensified. On April 5, 1923, Lord Carnarvon died. The news shocked the world. To many, his death seemed like more than a tragic coincidence. It appeared to be the first victim of the pharaoh's revenge, and the legend of the curse suddenly felt far more real. As stories spread, new details emerged. According to popular accounts, the lights in Cairo mysteriously went out at the exact moment of Carnarvon's death. Whether fact or fiction, the story added another layer to the growing mystery surrounding the tomb. Another tale soon followed. Back in England, it was said that Carnarvon's beloved dog let out a final howl at the exact moment of his master's death. Moments later, the animal reportedly collapsed and died. The story quickly became one of the most famous elements of the curse legend. As the stories multiplied, fear began to spread. Visitors grew uneasy. Workers became nervous. Even those who dismissed the curse found themselves wondering whether something unusual was happening. The tomb had become a source of fascination and fear in equal measure. In the years that followed, additional deaths and illnesses were linked to the curse. Each new tragedy fueled speculation. Newspapers connected unrelated events. Rumors spread faster than facts, and the legend continued to grow stronger. Before long, millions of people were convinced that the curse was real. The idea of an ancient pharaoh reaching across the centuries to punish those who disturbed his tomb was impossible to resist. The story combined history, mystery, and fear into a legend unlike any other. By the late 1920s, the tomb of Tutankhamun had acquired a dark reputation. What began as one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history had transformed into something far more mysterious. But beneath the headlines and rumors, an important question remained. Was there truly a curse? Or was something else responsible for the deaths? As the years passed, journalists and researchers began compiling lists of those supposedly touched by the curse. Each death was carefully examined. Each tragedy added to the growing legend. To believers, the pattern seemed undeniable. To skeptics, it was nothing more than coincidence. But the debate was only beginning. Many focused their attention on those who had entered the tomb itself: archaeologists, researchers, assistants, visitors. If a curse truly existed, surely it would target those who crossed the threshold into the pharaoh's final resting place. But the facts told a more complicated story. Perhaps the most surprising fact concerned Howard Carter himself. The man who discovered the tomb did not die shortly after opening it. Instead, he lived for many years. Carter survived until 1939, nearly 17 years after the discovery that supposedly unleashed the curse. As more information became available, researchers noticed something strange. Many individuals associated with the excavation lived long and ordinary lives. Some survived for decades after entering the tomb. If the curse was real, it appeared surprisingly inconsistent. Yet fear has always possessed a unique power. Once people believe they are in danger, ordinary events can begin to feel extraordinary. Coincidences become warnings. Accidents become omens. And every unexpected death seems to confirm what people already fear. Some scientists proposed a different explanation. Ancient tombs can contain dangerous molds, bacteria, and fungi sealed away for centuries. Exposure to these microorganisms might pose health risks, especially to individuals with weakened immune systems. Could natural causes explain at least some of the reported illnesses? Others suggested that sealed burial chambers could trap harmful gases or contaminants. After thousands of years underground, the air inside ancient tombs might contain substances capable of affecting human health. The theory offered a rational explanation for events that many considered supernatural. But scientific explanations rarely attract as much attention as a curse. Newspapers continued publishing dramatic stories. Readers wanted mystery. They wanted revenge from beyond the grave. And the legend of King Tut's curse sold newspapers around the world. Over time, the curse evolved into something larger than the facts themselves. Books were written. Movies were produced. New generations discovered the story and added their own interpretations. The legend had taken on a life of its own. Despite years of investigation, one question refused to disappear. Were the deaths connected by something unseen? Or had the world simply woven a powerful story from a series of unrelated events? To answer that question, we must separate fear from evidence and legend from truth. More than a century has passed since the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb. In that time, historians, archaeologists, and scientists have carefully examined the evidence. The headlines have faded. The rumors have been challenged. And yet, the mystery continues to endure. To understand why, we must return to the facts. When researchers examined the lives of those connected to the excavation, they discovered something surprising. Many individuals who entered the tomb lived long lives. Some survived for decades after the discovery. The pattern expected from a deadly curse simply did not appear in the historical record. Today, most scientists reject the idea of a supernatural curse. Instead, they point to natural explanations: disease, infection, environmental hazards, and the human tendency to connect unrelated events into a single narrative. Human beings are natural storytellers. We search for patterns. We seek meaning. And when tragedy follows a remarkable discovery, the mind instinctively looks for a connection. Sometimes coincidence can feel far more mysterious than reality itself. If the evidence is weak, why has the curse survived for so long? Because it speaks to something deeper. A fear that some places should remain undisturbed. A belief that the past may not always welcome those who seek to uncover its secrets. Ironically, Tutankhamun achieved in death what he never achieved in life. As a ruler, he was a relatively minor pharaoh. But through the discovery of his tomb, he became the most famous king of ancient Egypt. His face is recognized across the world. His story has become immortal. The discovery of the tomb transformed archaeology forever. It provided an unprecedented glimpse into the world of ancient Egypt. The treasures revealed extraordinary craftsmanship. The artifacts preserved a civilization's memory, and the tomb became a bridge connecting the modern world to the distant past. Perhaps the true power of the story lies in the balance between history and legend. The facts alone are fascinating. The myth makes them unforgettable. Together, they create a mystery that continues to inspire curiosity more than 100 years after the tomb was opened. So, was there really a curse? The evidence suggests no. Yet the question continues to linger. Because some mysteries are not remembered for their answers. They are remembered for the questions they leave behind. The tomb of Tutankhamun did not merely reveal treasures. It revealed humanity's fascination with the unknown. A fascination that has survived across centuries. Whether curse or coincidence, fact or legend, the story of King Tut continues to remind us that history is filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. And perhaps, some secrets are meant to remain buried. Did you believe the curse was real? Comment below. Subscribe for more forgotten mysteries. Ancient Whisper, where forgotten history speaks.